I am an American soldier.
I'm a warrior and a member of a team.
I serve the people of the United States and live the Army values.
I will always place finish first.
I will never accept defeat.
I will never accept defeat.
I will never quit.
I will never leave a fallen comrade.
I am disciplined.
I am disciplined.
Physically and mentally tough.
Trained and proficient in my warrior tasks and drills.
I always maintain my arms, my equipment, and myself.
I'm an expert and I'm a professional.
I stand ready to deploy, engage, and destroy the
enemies of the United States of America in close combat.
I am a guardian of freedom and the American way of life.
I am an American soldier.
I am an American soldier.
I am an American soldier.
There's strong, and there's Army strong. See what it takes at GoArmy.com.
Sometimes riders feel lost, unsure why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing into full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, offering manuscript critiques and line edits through a mentoring editorial style. We also offer assistance on generating a writer's bio for your websites. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services, visit blackwolfeditorial.com.
Hey folks, I want to introduce you to a friend of mine, Dr. Richard Harden. We are on the same mission, which is waking up America. We just have different paths. So stay tuned for some information on how you can keep up with Richard and all his work.
Visit Richard's website at raharden.com. That's the World Wide Web at rahardin.com. At his website, you can see a summary of the 6 books he has written, where purchases may be made. He also has a link to 18 videos on YouTube and several blogs about Christian beliefs. If you prefer, visit Amazon.com/Kindle and type in Richard Harden to see and purchase his books.
Every day, the men and women of the United States Marine Corps stand ready to defend the American way of life. The few, the proud, the Marines.
The following message contains a special offer for listeners of this station. Are you a man over 40? Are you constantly looking for the nearest bathroom? Do you wake up multiple times a night to use the bathroom? Right now, Perfect Prostate is sending out free bottles of their groundbreaking new formula to listeners of this station. Perfect Prostate Formula was developed by medical doctor Mitchell Fleischer, and its ingredients have been clinically studied to reduce your frequent nighttime bathroom visits and promote healthy urine flow. Right now, preferred customers get their first bottle of Perfect Prostate absolutely free. There's nothing to lose. Perfect Prostate is guaranteed to reduce that constant urge to use the bathroom, especially at night, and promote healthy urine flow. Don't wait. Call now for your free bottle. Just pay shipping and processing. Dial 1-800-675-0251. That's 1-800-675-0251. Supplies are limited. One free bottle per household. Call now. Dial 1-800-675-0251. That's 1-800-675-0251.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
You're listening to the Spark Radio Network, internet radio like you've never heard before. Innovation, creativity, and imagination are all said to begin with a spark. So fasten your seatbelt and take the ride of your life and listen for the spark.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
My name is Jessie. I'm a United States Special Forces widow. This gives me a unique perspective on the world around us. If you're willing to listen, I'll tell you how I see it, and I won't pull any punches. This is my POV, which stands for Point of View.
All right, it's Jessie. How you doing out there tonight? You know I miss you when we're not talking. Now, I know I usually bang my show prep on the keyboard about this time, but sorry, it's not going to happen tonight. I dropped some pages last night trying to do it one-handed. Didn't work out so well, so you're just going to have to trust me that I have my show prep for right now. All right. There, as always, and I know I seem to start off 4 out of 5 shows going, there's a lot going on in this world. Quick little recap for those of you living under a rock, and I may or may not get to all these topics, but it may be something you guys can look up later on your own. There was a terrorist attack in France near the Louvre. There was Secretary of Defense Mattis's visit to South Korea. I got some sound bites from that one. There's been some blowback about the Yemen raid. I got one soundbite on that one, but it's an important one. Hey, I try not to waste your time or mine. I've also got a couple of interesting tidbits about some other things blowing in the wind, including who the Russians are attacking now or hacking now, or cyber stalking, or whatever you want to call it. And of course, there's North Korea doing their usual, we will destroy Seoul, Guys, North Korea, we hear you. We're ignoring you. And there's a little bit going on in Yemen. Oh yeah, got a little bit with Yemen too. Because, you know, the Yemen thing's really a proxy war. So, because if you need to, pull out your scorecard, because guess what? The Houthis in Yemen doing all the dirty work. Guess who's backing them? Our dastardly dubious Iranians. Oh yes. Oh yes. And there's a destroyer off the coast of Yemen. But what makes it special is which one it is. Oh yeah, I keep up on that kind of stuff, believe it or not. I really do. Moving right along. I've got a couple of audio clips from Trump used Facebook Live tonight. Yeah, he did. Hey, he doesn't stop, I don't think. And let me see if I don't have it queued up, so we're going to have to kind of find the audio. But let's see if I can hit it.
This week we also took significant action to roll back the...
Nope. That's not the audio I was looking for.
The January employment report...
Nope. It's, of course, about the fallen Navy SEAL.
Also this week, on the first day, Black History Month.
Moving right along.
At Dover Air Force Base on Wednesday, I joined the family of Chief Special Warfare Operator William Ryan Owens as our fallen hero was returned home, a great man. Chief Owens gave his life for his country and for our people. Our debt to him and his family, a beautiful family, is eternal. God has truly blessed this nation to have given us such a brave and selfless patriot as Ryan. We will never forget him. We will never, ever forget those who serve, believe me. And I will never forget that my responsibility is to keep you, the American people safe and free.
That was pretty cool. Now, he also mentioned Gorsuch, and let me see if I can pull up that audio clip. Never mind, I'll leave that for the political commentators. That's not my beat, I just happened to have heard it when I was doing stuff earlier. But the fact that he took time out of his weekly address to mention the recently fallen United States Navy SEAL. And guys, I know a thing or two about Navy SEALs. Every one of them, to a man, and at this moment, they are all men, so no nasty hate mail, please. Right now, at this moment, they're all men, and to a man, every last one of them. If we could wake up this warrant officer that was killed, and say, hey, would you do it again? He'd say, you bet, let's go, where are we going? Let me grab my gear. Alright, I've got a pretty interesting piece of audio about the Yemen raid, and then we'll talk a little more about it. And it's what they call a TikTok. What's a TikTok? Okay, let's discuss a TikTok real quick, and then we'll get to this really cool piece of audio. A TikTok is a timeline breakdown. It can be by the day, by the week, by the event. And it says when this was originally thought of, composed, written down, presented, and how it moved along the food chain. And why it took place, when it took place. And for your information, President Trump didn't pick the date. All right, let's take a listen.
Let's go through the TikTok on that raid. On November 7th, CENTCOM submitted the plan to DOD. Clearly, that was under the last administration. Legal teams were involved immediately when it was submitted to DOD. On December 19th, the plan was approved by the Department of Defense and recommended that it be moved ahead. It was sent then to the National Security Council staff here in the White House. Again, this all happened under the previous administration. On January 6th, there was an interagency deputies meeting. The deputies recommended at that time that they go ahead. It was so easily approved, it was sent straight up. The conclusion was at that time to hold for what they called a moonless night, which by calendar wouldn't occur until then President-elect Trump was President Trump. On January 24th, shortly after taking office, Secretary Defense, then Mattis, read the memo, resent it back up to the White House, conveying his support. On the 25th of January, the president was briefed by General Flynn on Secretary Mattis's recommendation and the status of the operation or potential operation. The president asked to see Secretary Mattis and Joint Chiefs of Staff Dunford. He then, on that evening, had a dinner meeting, which included the president, the vice president, Secretary Mattis, Chairman Dunford, Chief of Staff Priebus, Jared Kushner, Chief Strategist Bannon, General Kellogg, General Flynn, and CIA Director Pompeo, where the operation was laid out in great extent. The indication at that time was to go ahead. On Friday, the 26th in the morning, the Deputies Committee met again. It was not a necessary step because they had previously recommended and also reaffirmed their support for that. On January 26th, the President signed the memo authorizing the action. So it was not only was it a very, very thought-out process by this administration.
Okay, so as you heard, President Trump didn't pick the date. And I'm willing to bet it was the SEALs or the Special Operation Command or someone like that said, guys, let's do this on a moonless night. Let me see if I can get that piece of audio pulled again.
Let's go through the TikTok on that raid. On November 7th...
Hang on. I don't want to play the whole thing again.
Defense, then Mattis, read the memo, resent it back up to the White House, conveying his support.
Hang on, I went a little too far. I'm trying to do this left-handed, folks, and I'm a righty.
On January 24th, shortly after taking office, Secretary moonless night, which by calendar...
All right, almost got it.
Approved, it was sent straight up. The conclusion was at that time to hold for what they called a moonless night.
They held for a moonless night. Why? United States Navy SEALs, the best of the best. Well, right up there with Delta Force, but one of our best Special Forces operations teams like to operate in the dark. Why? You can't see in the dark. They have top quality night vision hardware. It fits on their helmets. They've got night vision scopes, night vision binoculars, anything they want, they can have in night vision, which turns night into day. And a moonless night allows them the best chance. Yes, it does. So, and if you recall, the mission that gave us the lone survivor, Marcus Luttrell, took place on a moonless... Oh no, I don't know that it... I believe it took place on a moonless night. Most Navy SEAL raids take place on moonless nights. Okay? Let's just state that as fact. And they like the dark because the enemy doesn't usually have high quality night vision. They may have first or second generation. Our SEALs have the latest and greatest. And that's no joke. So don't blame Donald Trump for picking a bad night. In fact, don't blame Trump at all. And he did a very honorable thing by going to Dover for what is commonly called a ramp ceremony for the return of that Navy SEAL's body. That is something I never remember President Obama doing. He was never there at Dover to greet the fallen. It just wasn't his thing. I don't know how much he respected our military. No one will ever know. But let's not politicize this fallen raid. Now, it wasn't the only casualty. There was a aircraft that was damaged and it was destroyed on site, so it couldn't be used. Blaming Trump for what happened is inappropriate and counterproductive. And yes, the military screwed up the video they released because it had been in the public eye for quite some time, but I'm sure they gained quite a lot of valuable intelligence. This may not have been one of them. But I'm willing to bet there's more that they're not talking about. Because the military isn't known for talking about everything. So, I gotta say, you can't claim that Donald Trump is ignorant of military and security affairs and then expect him to second-guess the professional recommendations of his uniformed and civilian military leadership. I mean, I'm glad he didn't second guess them. In my mind, he did the right thing. The military has to provide what they call a CONOPS, or concept of operation. And it's picked over and picked over and picked over and poked holes in until it's clean. And they rework it. And they go then it comes opportunity versus cost. So, and then, and only then, is it moved forward, at least in some circumstances. Now, there are things that went wrong on the Yemen raid, as was evidenced by the Navy SEAL who lost his life. But I know that he would do it again. Remember, I'm a Special Forces widow. I know these guys. I know their hearts. I know how they think. And to a man, every member of the United States Special Forces I know would rather say, they all came home but me. My men made it home. Never mind me. My men made it home. And that's the way they all think. I'm sorry, America, you have to allow your military to be aggressive, to take risks, and on occasion they will fall short. Don't jump down the president's throat, whoever is sitting in that office. Sorry, the United States Special Forces are among the best trained, as is Delta Force. Rangers are... Green Berets and Rangers would be next in line, and then you've got Force Recon Marines who are right up there. So let's take a step back. The military took what they believed was an acceptable and necessary risk. Take a deep breath and give them a break. Alright, I got another story about Yemen. Oh yeah, I'm not done with Yemen. Hey, I managed to do it without dropping anything, but that was only a couple of sheets. It wasn't the whole stack. I mentioned this at the top of the show. There is a destroyer on patrol in Yemen. What is particularly ironic? That ship is the USS Cole. Yes, the USS Cole. And for those of you who do not know about the USS Cole, we're going to tell you just a bit about it. Alright. First, we're going to talk about why it's there. The Cole is patrolling off Yemen because of the Iranian-backed rebels called the Houthis. That much I can guarantee you. Okay? That's why it's there. Remember, Iran's got those Houthis. Now, in 2000, Al-Qaeda bombers steered a boat full of explosives into the side of the American warship while it refueled in the Yemeni port of Aden, killing 17 sailors. So, the USS Cole is back in near Yemen. And Trump's cabinet and Trump keep reiterating nothing is off the table. And I hate to say this, but I would like to see those Houthis launch a rocket attack against one of our ships now. We've got Mad Dog Mattis and Trump leading the charge. Those two are not going to let it go. Mad Dog is a strong warrior. Don't forget that. He worked his way up through the ranks. And of course, its secondary mission is to maintain freedom of navigation in the Red Sea and through the Strait. And if you recall, Michael Flynn announced earlier this week we were putting Iran on notice. Let me see if I got that audio for you. I know I can pull it up. Give me just a second to do it. All right. Let's track it down.
Administration wants to put Iran on notice, but they haven't specified what that is. What options are on the table, and are there any options like military action that might be off the table at this point?
So I think General Flynn was really clear yesterday that Iran has violated the joint resolution, that Iran's additional hostile actions that it took against our Navy vessel are ones that we are very clear are not going to sit by and take. I think that we will have further updates for you on those additional actions, but clearly we wanted to make sure that Iran understood that they are on notice. This is not going unresponded to.
All right, here's National Security Advisor, former General Michael Flynn.
President Trump has severely criticized the various agreements reached between Iran and the Obama administration, as well as the United Nations, as being weak and ineffective. Instead of being thankful to the United States in these agreements, Iran is now feeling emboldened. As of today, we are officially putting Iran on notice.
Yep. And I'm sorry, I don't see this going away between Flynn, Mattis, and Trump. It's a pretty strong message when we send a warship and send it running up and down your coastline. Trust me. It's a very strong sight. Now, we are almost at the bottom of the hour. We will discuss the sanctions and what they mean that the Treasury Department put in place today. After we pay them bills. And I will see you on the other side.
In these uncertain economic times, you've got to do whatever you can to save money. One of our biggest expenses can be our cars, especially when unexpected repair bills hit. Not anymore. If you own a vehicle with less than 130,000 miles, is less than 12 years old, has a warranty about to expire, or even no warranty at all, you could stop paying for car repairs. Roadside assistance, towing, and rental coverage are all included. Don't wait for the next repair. Make one free call right now to see if you qualify. If your vehicle vehicle is less than 12 years old, has less than 130,000 miles, even if it's out of warranty, paying for car repairs can become a thing of the past. Call us right now and get your car protected before your next repair bill hits. Get protection and no more repair bills. Call 800-696-1030. Again, 800-696-1030. That's 800-696-1030. 800-696-1030.
All writers are prone to becoming so attached to our characters and stories that we struggle to see why a passage may not be working. It takes another set of eyes to help us nurture our writing to full maturity. At Black Wolf Editorial Services, we strive to enable writers to develop and grow, shaping stories into masterpieces that can stand the test of time. Editing services are provided for all genres and all age categories. Services range from the critique of the short story through to line edits on full-length novels. We also offer assistance on generating writers' bios for your websites. We won't abandon you to the masses. We want to celebrate with you in your successes. Black Wolf Editorial Services, nurturing your writing into maturity. For a full list of services and prices, visit us at blackwolfeditorial.com.
I've owned my company for 14 years now, and I can tell you that payroll is a 4-letter word. I hate doing it. It eats up hours I don't have, and it costs me money I could be saving. But my accountant's too expensive, and I'm not sure who to call, but I know I need help.
We're Paychex, and we take all the hassles out of small business payroll. We save you time and money. It's easy. Call, fax, or give us your payroll information securely online, and we take care of the rest. We calculate the correct taxes, manage payments and direct deposits. We even send out your checks. Payroll doesn't need to be a 4-letter word anymore. We're so sure that we can save you time and money that we'll give you a month's payroll free. Just for calling 877-757-2782. Get 1 month's payroll for free. Call Paychex right now. 877-757-2782. That's 877-757-2782.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
Thank you for hanging in there with me over that commercial break. Now, just as a reminder before I get carried away and forget, you can always find me on Twitter at Jessie's POV. Now, I got to admit, I'm not doing a whole lot of one-handed tweeting. Hopefully, I'll be free of my injuries soon. My right hand was damaged, but not so severely. It's a very minor fracture. Now, before we get into what the sanctions mean, I got an article from Press TV. I got to read part of it. And for those of you who do not recall, Press TV is Iranian news. All right? Okay. So, keep that in mind while I'm reading this. Iranian Defense Minister Brigadier General Hossein Dakhan said that Iran's successful recent ballistic missile test had breached neither the deal nor the resolution. And by resolution, he is discussing United Nations Resolution 2231 or the JCPOA, aka the Iran Nuclear Deal, Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action. Now, there's a statement here from the Foreign Ministry. Oh, it's propaganda, but I'm going to read it to you. Maybe it'll give you a laugh. The Islamic Republic of Iran, with the backing of the wise participation and support of the great Iranian nation, will respond proportionally and reciprocally to any move that targets the interests of the Iranian people. Of course, they say that their missile power is only for defensive purposes, meant to carry conventional weapons, and would never be used in other than legitimate defense. What I'd like to know is how many of those missiles are going to end up with the Houthis or Hezbollah or some other... And they won't give them the big, huge ones, but I'll bet they'll give them plenty of the small ones. And here's one more quote from the Foreign Ministry. Just as in reaction to the Islamophobic move of the U.S. government, the temporary prevention of entry of Iranians and the issuance of visas was suspended for U.S. citizens within the framework of a special mechanism in response to the U.S. measure. The Islamic Republic of Iran will impose legal restrictions on a number of American people and entities who are involved in founding and assisting extremist terror groups in the region, or contributing to the carnage and suppression of the defenseless people in the region. Okay. I can't think of too many Americans supporting terrorists, other than the ones we already don't like. And also, the statement reiterated that the security of the Islamic Republic of Iran is not open to compromise or negotiation. Naive and injudicious measures of the U.S. government would not prevent Iran from following through with its principal policy of safeguarding peace and security in the region while combating terrorism and extremism. And this from one of the world's most well-known state sponsors of terror. Oh, what's that, Host Kitty? Oh. Sure, you can have a comment. What's your comment about Iran saying that they safeguard peace and terror? I thought that's what you were going to say. Yeah, you don't like them very much. Well, Host Kitty, you're in good company around here. Because most of us don't like them very much. All right. Now, Secretary of Defense Mattis is in South Korea. And he and the South Korean, I believe, Defense Minister had a joint press conference. And he also met with the acting president of South Korea. So let's take a listen.
North Korea continues to launch missiles, develop its nuclear weapons program, and engage in threatening rhetoric and behavior. We stand with our peace-loving Republic of Korea ally to maintain stability on the peninsula and in the region. America's commitments to defending our allies and to upholding our extended deterrence guarantees remain ironclad. Any attack on the United States or on our allies will be defeated, and any use of nuclear weapons would be met with a response that would be effective and overwhelming.
That doesn't sound like a man who's backing down to me. Now, he also gave a brief comment on THAAD. Let's take a listen.
Due to North Korea's threatening rhetoric and destabilizing behavior, we are taking defensive steps like deploying the highly effective THAAD anti-missile unit to the Republic of Korea to protect its people and our troops that stand beside our ally.
Yes, he is 100% behind the deployment of the THAAD missile system. And I gotta say, way to go, Secretary Mattis.
We are also committed to expanding trilateral venues of cooperation with Japan, where the mutual defense of our nations is best served through teamwork. Today, Minister Han and I will discuss other ways to make certain our militaries are always ready to protect this republic.
By trilateral, he's talking U.S., Japan, and South Korea. Now, if you rewind all this in your heads, remember, Japan and South Korea recently patched things up. Not completely, but they're on better grounds. You know, they got a better working relationship. So they had a little bit of an agreement to settle disputes over a number of things, including a dispute over wartime sex slaves. And yes, that is what a large part of the dispute was over. Not the only thing it was over. Japan and South Korea have removed the biggest obstacle to better bilateral ties after agreeing to finally and irreversibly resolve Tokyo's use of tens of thousands of Korean women as what they were commonly called comfort women. It's not clear if Abe will send a letter of apology to each surviving comfort woman. Abe did call then-President South Korean Park and issue an apology. He told reporters that the agreement was based on his commitment to stop future generations from having to repeatedly apologize, and that he wanted Japan and South Korea to enter a new era and not drag this problem into the next generation. So, South Korea and Japan are working towards things. All I can say is it's a step in the right direction. It honestly and truly is. So, in summary, South Korea will get that, and South Korea, Japan, and the U.S. I'd like to see some trilateral military drills. So, who knows? Alright, let's talk briefly about the sanctions. And I know I'm kind of jumping around here tonight, folks. I'm sorry, I don't quite have my act together. Not sure I ever do. Now, of course, the sanctions were put in place in response to a ballistic missile test that led the White House to announce it was putting Iran on notice. There were 25 people and entities involved in helping develop Iran's ballistic missile program, or assisting the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps' elite Quds Force in supporting groups that we call terrorists, Lebanon's Shiite Hezbollah being the most well-known. Iran's continued support for terrorism and development of its ballistic missile program poses a great threat to the region. If I could have written that one, but it's true. Sanctions are the first concrete evidence of Trump's administration's intention to take a more aggressive and confrontational approach with Iran. The action was triggered by the January 29th test of a medium-range ballistic missile, and I'm willing to bet, and so do most of the analysts, host opinion here, it was Iran's way of going, how far can we push you? Come on, let's see if we can push your buttons. So, and personally, I don't think that, as many of you regular listeners know, I don't think that Iran nuclear deal is worth the paper it's printed on because it's got too many secret side deals, too many loopholes, and too many caveats. All right? The sanctions won immediate praise from skeptics and opponents of the nuclear agreement, notably Senator Bob Corker from Tennessee, who is chairman of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee. U.S. sanctions followed a tit-for-tat exchange of threats between the United States and Iran on Thursday as both nations sought new footing in the power struggle that could jeopardize the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action. And of course, Trump's answer is nothing's off the table. Now, do I think Trump is going to invade Iran? No. However, I don't think he will unless they do something absolutely crazy, like attack us. Oh, and the other Iranian response was that they banned the U.S. wrestlers from competing in a tournament being held in Tehran as another shot at us. United States top freestyle wrestlers have been barred from a much-anticipated international tournament in Iran this month, prohibited by the host nation from entering the country in retaliation for President Trump's travel ban. The decision was announced on Friday by the Islamic Republican News Agency. U.S. freestyle wrestlers were slated to compete in World Cup tournament on February 16th and 17th in Kermanshah, Iran. The American squad was to include Kyle Snyder of Woodbine, Maryland, who won gold at the Rio Olympics, and Jordan Burroughs, three-time world champion and gold medalist from the 2012 Summer Games. Of course, the director of USA Wrestling said Friday he still hadn't been formally notified that the U.S. wrestlers would not be granted visa, but he was extremely disappointed by the news. I will say, I don't like the fact they're banning the wrestlers. However, politics and sports unfortunately go hand in hand as much as I'd rather them not. And Iran is a country rich in wrestling history. So, who knows? And the U.S. Olympic Committee said on Monday it's received assurance from federal government it will work with us to ensure that athletes and officials from all countries have expedited access to the United States in order to participate in international athletic competitions. So we're not letting athletics and politics destroy athletics, okay? And the International Olympic Committee's Athlete Commission sent a message on Friday advising athletes who are either carrying passports or born in one of the 7 impacted nations or had traveled to any of those countries in the past 5 years to contact the United States Olympic Committee, who will then reach out to state to get them the visas. So, athletes will still be allowed. Take a deep breath. Alright, I am almost out of time. Let's see what I got left. Oh, who was Russia attacking now. And like I said, those Iranian sanctions, they're aimed at trying to stop Iran from getting the necessary stuff to make more missiles and enhance their nuclear program. All right, who's Russia targeting now? Well, you won't believe this one. And I had to read the headline twice. Norway has been targeted by hackers believed to be linked to Russia. The Labour Party, Defense and Foreign Ministries, and the Security Service itself were among those hit. Friday announced it had chosen Germany's ThyssenKrupp to deliver 4 submarines to its navy, part of a wider military upgrade. And Russia and Norway aren't on the best of relationships right now. The tensions are kind of high there, believe it or not. And Moscow has blocked visas in response to Norwegian sanctions against Russia after annexing Crimea in the Ukraine. And now it seems that Russia's waging a cyber campaign. The hacker group has been identified as APT-29, also known as Cozy Bear, which is reported to have connections to the Russian Security Service, FSB. And this same group was linked to the cyber attack, or the cyber Alright, it was linked to the DNC committee, unauthorized dissemination of information. Intelligence pressure from foreign states, especially the Russian side, has been high and stable over the years. The intelligence activities in Russia in particular have the potential to be more dangerous now more than ever. So now, of course, the Russian embassy's Facebook page. Oh, yes, we seem to be using more and more social media for politics than I care to comment on. The Russian Facebook page referred to the report as a witch hunt. One more story, and I gotta say, suck it up, Buttercup. Actually, we've got 2. French authorities believe that the man who tried to attack the Louvre Museum in the capital of Paris on Friday was a 29-year-old Egyptian man. He's thought to have traveled to Paris from Dubai on a tourist visa last month. And police are currently working to see if the man acted alone or under instructions. The machete-wielding attacker was critically injured after he was shot by French soldiers in a bid to stop him. One of the soldiers did receive minor injuries when the man tried to enter the museum. So I thought I'd read a report earlier that it was not at the museum proper, but I guess it was. But the museum and the mall are nearby, and the mall was placed on lockdown after the attack was reported. President Francois Hollande praised the soldiers' action, saying this operation prevented an attack whose terrorist nature leaves little in doubt. Alright, the guy shouted, "Aloha granola bar." You know what I'm trying to say without saying. Aloha snack bar, aloha granola bar. You get it. I don't like saying those words, so I'm not going to. The Egyptian man had no identification, but his mobile phone data showed he arrived in Paris on January 26 after acquiring a 1-month tourist visa in Dubai. So, interesting twist of fate. And there are lots of Americans who routinely travel to France. All right, now here's my suck it up buttercup story. Mexican drug lord El Chapo Guzman has complained in court about the conditions of his custody in a U.S. jail. All right, the guy's in maximum security. I've watched enough documentaries on prisons to know you are locked down in your cell 23 hours a day. You are allowed 1 hour out per day for recreation and or other necessities. You're given a shower a few times a week. You have little to no contact with anyone else. And your phone privileges may be restricted if it is believed you are going to use the phone to try and coordinate illicit substances and or escape. Okay, we're discussing a man who has previously escaped from 2 Mexican prisons. Granted, U.S. prisons are more secure. The claims arose in federal court in Brooklyn at a hearing for Guzman, who has pleaded not guilty to charges that he ran the world's largest drug trafficking organization during a decades-long career. And Guzman faces life in prison if convicted. Guzman's common-law wife, Emma Coronel, a former beauty queen, flew to Mexico to attend the hearing. His lawyers said it was the first time Ms. Cornell has seen her husband since his surprise extradition 2 weeks ago. Guzman, 49, is on a 23-hour lockdown in a special unit of the Manhattan Correctional Center. And Guzman's court-appointed attorneys say, we understand the needs for security, but it's gone above and beyond. Because they're not letting him have visits with his wife, who he isn't legally married to. It's a common-law marriage. What's that mean, common law? It means they've just been together so long everybody just recognizes them as husband and wife, but the prison system doesn't, folks. The prison system don't work that way. Mexican President Enrique Peña Nieto had initially resisted extraditing El Chapo, insisting that he should face justice at home. But after El Chapo was recaptured in January 2016, Nieto changed his mind on extradition and ordered officials to speed up the process. Post quick opinion here. I think he said, we can't seem to hold this guy. Let's get him out of here and keep him locked up forever at the same time. Sorry, El Chapo. No sympathy for you. That's the way maximum security works. 23-hour-a-day lockdown, limited visitation, limited everything else. All right, folks. Thank you all for hanging out with me tonight. And I'm going to see if I can get through the edits of a very special Saturday Slowdown. I have been unable to do them because of my hand. But I got some time. We're going to see if I can pull it off. And it is how the Middle East got its borders. And just as a reminder, you can follow me on Twitter at Jessie's POV. And on that note, folks, I'm out of here!